So yeah, let's get started. So hi everyone. Yeah, just like Max said, we'll be doing a quick short session on PE and careers in sport. I'm Muhsin Rakib. I'm a project officer, and my colleague here, Mark Stokes, is on the call with me. We both work for Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes Active Partnership, otherwise known as LEAP. I'm going to hand over to Mark now, who's going to give you a bit more information around that. Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. It's really great to be here this morning to talk to you about career in sport. I mean, because that's my livelihood, Muslim's livelihood, and it's a fantastic industry to be in, and potentially the pathway that you're gonna take to get there. So, just to quickly give you an overview of who we are, we're the active partnership that works across Bucks and MK, and our key focus is to improve the lives of residents through physical activity, health and well-being programs. So we work on a number of different initiatives to help older adults, to help the disability groups, to help children and young people, and to women and girls, and so on, the ethnic minority areas and whatnot. So a whole breadth of work that we do around that. We're one of 43 active partnerships nationwide in England. So there's one in every county, basically, that mirrors the kind of work that we do. And we're funded through a number of national partners. Sport England is one of them, who invests in us. Department for Education, DCMS, and Public Health, and also the big lottery. So we get a cocktail of funding from different organizations that allows us to do the work that we do. Again, our role, again, is to support the network, both in education and the wider community, and that's to embrace innovative and creative ways to help people become more active more often. So that's really a little bit about us in that respect. I think I wanted to sort of set the scene here, because it's really interesting what we're talking about this morning, and Muslim will follow on with, his adventure through this whole process. I remember Muslim, we interviewed Muslim a year and a half ago now, and I remember the first question I asked him, so why do you want to be in this industry, in this sector? And his answer to that really blew us away. And it was one of those sort of focuses he had some time ago, that he wanted to sort of progress into this industry. And it is a fantastic industry to work in, because it's unbelievably rewarding. You're trying to get people active. You're trying to use different types of initiatives and programs and flexibility to improve people's health and well-being. So, it is a really good sort of industry to be involved in. And, again, to some extent, that journey is potentially starting where you are now, doing your PE at year 9, year 10, or whatever sort of year group you may be in at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll pass you over to Muslim now, and I'll let him sort of carry on from there. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. That's great, Mark. Thanks for that. So I think prior to this session, we kind of sent out a link, so like a short video on YouTube, just relaying everything that Mark said. We have a website as well, so you can always, check that out, see what we're up to, see what kind of work we're doing. Moving on. I think I'm missing one. Sorry, bear with me. Can everyone see that? Is that okay? So yeah, just a few lesson objectives. So what I've tried to do here is kind of put my shoes, put myself in your shoes. And I wanted to kind of think back and think what kind of questions I had when I was in school, when I was just starting out, my GCSEs, and especially GCSE PE, because PE was one of my favorite subjects. Just 3 learning objectives. So hopefully, you'll learn something from this short session. You'll take away some useful bits of information. So how to apply learning and subject knowledge to roles within the industry. So how can we make that learning that's going to take place, throughout your course, and how can we apply it to the roles? To become aware of different careers and roles within the industry, and then to become familiar with different sporting organisations. So that's that. Moving on. So yeah, as you can see, there are a number of different roles within the industry. But before I start, it's important to kind of understand that everything you learn in GCSE PE is kind of the foundation to your knowledge. So I kind of saw it as a starting point for myself. And everything, like I said, everything you learn is kind of the foundation to what you go on and learn, if you wish to do so. So yeah, what I thought we could do is just go around these different roles and apply it to what you may have already learned or what you are going to learn within the course. So let's say, for example, a personal trainer. You know, you can apply aspects, you know, from the course, topics such as physical training and health, fitness, and well-being. If you look deep into that, you can apply, you know, principles of training, your methods, and then the effects of training, which you have probably learned or are going to learn at some point. Moving on, being a sports coach or an instructor, you know, you can apply your sporting knowledge, you know, from the practical performance element of the course, and you can also deliver or coach or train other people using your favorite sport. So you know, that's a really good option to go into. I did some sports coaching myself, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I can touch on that later on and give you a bit more information around that. PE teacher, you know, it's a great profession to be in. Teaching is really rewarding. If you really enjoy, you know, the subject, PE, it's definitely an option there to go into PE teaching. Sports science, you know, really interesting aspect. You know, there's loads of different elements to sports science. So one of them is movement analysis. So looking at the movement of the human body within, you know, a sporting environment, situation. Sports psychologist, looking into sports psychology. This wasn't really that big, you know, in previous years, but as the sports world is developing, this is becoming a bigger, you know, aspect within the industry. It looks at stuff like mental preparation. It looks at performance, how to get, you know, the best performance using sports psychology. A really interesting subject. Sports development officer. So like myself and Mark, this is the kind of the aspect, the kind of the area of the industry that we work in. So a way of kind of tying that in with your GCSE PE is a topic such as socio and cultural influences. So myself and Mark are always looking at, you know, barriers of participation. So why aren't people taking part in sport? And why aren't people becoming physically active? And how can we kind of break down those barriers? We also use a lot of data to kind of back up those claims. So we go out and do a lot of research around, you know, different areas and try and, you know, use that understanding to get more people physically active and taking part in sport. You have the whole leisure industry, so you can become a part of a leisure team within a leisure centre. Like I said, it's a lot more on the ground. It's a lot more encouraging people to take part in sport and physical activity. You know, you can use your learning from health, fitness, and well-being, that kind of topic, you know, within this role. Physiotherapist, so, you know, learning about the musculoskeletal system, sports injuries, health and safety in sport, that can definitely help you pursue a career in physiotherapy. And then sports analyst, you know, going back to using data, you can always be an analyst within your sport. So you have football analysts, you have cricket analysts, that, you know, watch games, that record data for professional teams. So there's a whole range of quite interesting, different, you know, jobs, careers within the sports world that you can kind of start thinking about and applying your knowledge within GCSE PE to that specific, role. Hopefully that has kind of opened your eyes, your minds to different roles and how you can apply your knowledge, your learning to these roles. I think for me, what was important when I was sitting in a classroom, I was thinking, okay, why do I need to learn this? Why am I learning this? And hopefully that kind of opens your eyes to that. And there's some real need for you to learn this kind of stuff. So I hope that was beneficial. Moving on. Just looking at the National Sport Development Delivery Pathway. So I think it's really important to kind of understand the structure seen within sport and see the pathway that, a lot of things go through in terms of programs, initiatives. So just going through the pathway. So I think it's 4 years, the government produce a strategy, and that kind of filters down through the pathway. So from the government, it goes down to national partners. And just before I go through the steps, guys, I'm gonna, make you aware of the different sporting organisations that sit within the pathway. So national partners, you have regional partners, regional NGB, so national governing bodies, active partnerships like ourselves, LEAP, local delivery partners, people behind the people, and then people taking part. So people behind the people include people like volunteers, coaches, local sporting clubs, and then the people taking part are people like yourself, like me, who like taking part in sport. Moving on to sporting organisations. So just some great. So just some sporting organisations to relate back to the pathway. So you have your national partners such as Sport England, Youth Sport Trust, UK Sport, and then you have your national governing bodies such as the FA, there are RFU, the ECB. You have regional national governing bodies, so they are a national governing body, but just a bit more of a local feel. So each kind of county would have their governing footballing association, such as the Berkshire and Buckinghamshire Football Association to your right. You then have your local delivery partners and active partnerships. So LEAP is the active partnership for Buckinghamshire and Milton Keynes. You have London Sport, which is the active partnership for the whole of London. And then you have your local authorities, such as Buckinghamshire County Council. You also have other organisations, such as community trusts. So every kind of football club have a branch which they call their community trust. So MK Dons have their community trust, as you can see. And then you have your leisure providers, such as Everyone Active. So hopefully that kind of shows you a number of organisations that make sport and physical activity happen across the country and locally. Do you reckon there's anything else there, Mark, that we can mention in terms of the pathway? You're on mute, Mark.
No, I think you've explained that quite well there, Muhsin, in regards to that progression. If I would just like to add something, again, obviously it's very important to, if this is the career pathway you're looking at getting involved in, it would be quite useful to start doing some leadership and volunteering as of now. And this really does give you that sort of inward sort of approach to getting on top or involved with some of these organizations, because it's the start of the journey, really. And most people who end up getting into this industry have started one way or another through the volunteering leadership programs that are available. And we run a leadership volunteering program across the county right now. And I think even 1 or 2 schools are involved in it that are online today. And it gives you these certain set of skills that will allow you to sort of build a bit of a sort of a package up for yourselves that will allow you then to sort of get into this industry, or not allow you, but will enable you to get into this industry a lot easier if this is the career pathway that you're potentially looking at. So I think that you pretty well covered a lot of the how the engagement's done through the pathway from national right down to the local level. And I think that is quite important to understand, because, when Muhsin mentioned about the 4-year cycle with strategy that's implemented, we've got another one coming into play at the beginning of this year. We're not far from that. So 2021, Sport England are going to be launching their new 4-year strategy. And it's going to have a real widening effect on everything that we're doing now because of what's happened in the last 6 to 8 months with COVID-19. So it'll be really interesting to see what comes from that, and there could be potentially a new host of opportunities that will develop from this new strategy. So it's just bearing in mind, and again, if you're thinking of potentially going down that road, just have just keep your eyes peeled in regards to things that might interest you as you move forward into adulthood and into your young lives that you're looking forward to. So that's about it for me, Mus.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Mark. So yeah, hopefully that kind of covers the first 2 learning objectives. So familiar with the different roles, how you can apply learning and knowledge to those roles, and then obviously the different organizations which you can look into when looking for a job or employability and career-wise.
Muhsin? Sorry, can I just come in and just say, we have actually got 2 questions, which I think is an appropriate time to ask them as well. So the first question is how can PE apply to people who want to compete in a sport professionally?
Good question. So if you are wishing to pursue a career in sport, a professional career, it's really good. So like I said, going back to how I felt, so I was playing high-level cricket. I was playing county-level cricket when I was in secondary school, and I had dreams of becoming a professional cricketer. And what helped me was the knowledge that I gained within the subject. So just around knowing your body, knowing the effects of exercise, knowing the principles of training, knowing the components of fitness. I think I could educate myself through my training. So if I knew I wanted to work on a specific component of fitness, I would know how to go about it. And I think doing GCSE PE in secondary school, whilst trying to pursue a cricketing career, really helped. So I think never kind of discard, what you're being taught, because at some point, you can reflect back on it and, use that knowledge to kind of better yourself. So hopefully that explains and answers that question.
I mean, I think there's clearly there's a very obvious link between PE and professional sport, but it's about the more you knowledge yourself, and you're in a great setting to be able to learn about your body, about training methods, and to be able to put them into practice as well. I think it's a kind of a dream scenario, right, where you have all the tools at your disposal 100%. To learn in that PE and to further yourself. The other question that we've got
sorry, Max, just quickly. Just to jump in, I mean, there is a whole host of different sort of opportunities in professional sport as well, where it comes to administration, officiating, supporting team structure. You see all these guys in the back room, and there's just so many of them. So it's maybe not even you potentially being that professional athlete like a David Beckham or, all the people that we know now. It could be someone that's working in the back room that still is a potential career that they want to take. They may not be that person that's going to be that, that superstar footballer or cricketer, but they could still be working in the back room, supporting that person and so on. So there is a whole wealth of opportunities outside of actually focusing on the specific element of being a professional sportsman. And there's so many opportunities for that to happen.
I mean, it's a very valid point. I mean, I'm quite a huge Formula One fan, and I know for a fact, and I did a lot of motor racing when I was younger, and some of my friends went on to do to learn about sports and physiotherapy. And one of them is a sports trainer for a racing driver full time, and basically travels the world with them, competing with them, and making sure that their body is ready for everything that happens. And it's quite exciting, and they still get to race as well. We do have another couple of questions in terms of, can physiotherapy be used with animals?
Yeah, I don't know if we
so
can.
I think.
Go ahead, Muhsin.
I definitely don't have the expertise to kind of.
I was going to say too. Great question, but probably the wrong panelist to ask that question. But yeah. But thank you for that.
Perfect. All right, and then we've got one other question which I'll leave to the end because it's quite a good question to wrap up on. But
that's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I move on then. So just in terms of my own career and my kind of journey. So I left secondary school. Probably like a lot of people listening. I love my sport. I played sport outside of school. I was quite fortunate. I was playing football and cricket and rugby. So I was doing 3 sports at the same time. Loved PE. Done my GCSEs, and I think it's really important to kind of stress now. It's not all about one subject. I think the more subjects you have underneath your belt, definitely leaves you in good stead for the different options that are available to you when leaving school. So make every effort to get a good grade in your English, maths, science, and that will definitely open doors for you. So yeah, I left school with a good handful of GCSEs, including my maths, English, science, and PE. I went on to sixth form college, where I continued to study sports. So I did sports studies, history, and PE in college, and done 2 years in college. Got myself some decent grades, half decent grades, and then I went on to university. And when I joined university, before joining university, I kind of used that 2 years whilst I was in college to try and build upon my skill set. So just like Mark said, try and take every opportunity you have to better yourself. So if there are volunteering opportunities out there, coaching opportunities out there, go for it, because it's only going to benefit you. It's only going to build upon your skill set and leave you in good stead when applying for jobs, when going to interviews, when talking to important individuals. So definitely, make use of the time you have. So yeah, I went to university, and that's where I studied. I did a BA honours in physical education and sports studies. And I loved my degree because I got to continue learning about PE. But on top of that, I learned about the different aspects of sport. So I learned about sports sociology. I learned about sports psychology, which I found really interesting. And it was only at my time at university where I kind of started to find out about the different roles within sport, the different organizations in sport. So when applying for university, I had a goal of becoming a PE teacher. So I was dead set on becoming a PE teacher. It's only when I got to my second or third year in university where I started to learn about sports development, all the different organizations, all the different initiatives, projects, strategies, policies within sport. I kind of moved away from becoming a PE teacher, and I had 2 options. So either a career in sports development or become a PE teacher. So I finished my degree, and I was meant to go on and do my PGCE and my teacher training, but I deferred that for a year and started working just because I was a bit unsure in what direction to go into. So I started working. I worked as a sports coach. I worked as a behavior coach within a pupil referral unit, and that was for about 2 to 3 years of my early 20s, and I loved it. And I learned so many things about myself, and learned loads of different skills. And then I got to a point in my life where I was thinking, okay, so what next? And I think it's really important to kind of highlight again, if you don't know what to do, that's completely fine, because one way or the other, you'll figure it out. As long as you're doing something and something positive, I think you're in the right direction. Everyone has their own journey, so don't take note of what other people are doing. Think about yourself, think about what's best for you, and think about how you can get better. So yeah, I reached a point in my life where I was thinking, okay, I'm not really going anywhere. I'm not really progressing where I want to. And then I applied for a job. And it was a really big college in London, to become a sports development officer. And there were 5 candidates, and it was a whole day interview. And I got down to the last 2, and I didn't get the job. The other person got the job. And the only reason why the other person got the job was because they had a master's. So I was thinking, wow, I literally missed out because of that one thing. So literally 2 weeks later, after that interview, I applied for a master's within sports development. And I went back to university whilst working part-time as a sports coach, and I did my master's in sports development. And from that, from that opportunity, from that degree, that additional degree I did, I had loads of different opportunities. So from that came a position with the England and Wales Cricket Board. So I sat on a panel for 3 years with the ECB, which I learned so much about, the structure of a national governing body, how they work. And then I bagged myself a job with Leap, and this is where I am at the moment. So I think I made the right decisions across, my journey. I tried to utilize every single opportunity that was presented to me, and always look to better yourself. There's loads of things out there that you can look into, take part in. So, I did a lot of youth work just after I left school, did a lot of mentoring, sports coaching. I went away and done a few coaching badges. And I knew that all of that would benefit me later on in my career, where, I'm applying for jobs, looking to progress within the field. So, yeah, if there's anything you take from this, is try and use every opportunity, try and utilize every opportunity you get to better yourself. Yeah.
With that, Muhsin, we've got a question here. So a couple of things I want to cover on. So Louisa Clark has put some very interesting information in the Q&A box about veterinary physiotherapists, and I'm just going to see if I can make that available for everybody to see. But for Muhsin, and maybe for Mark as well, what's been the most rewarding experience in your jobs?
That is a great question. And I think it's really important to remember those moments and highlight those moments when talking to other people, because it just, gives you a reason for what you do. So there's a couple of things for me. One of my first jobs, I was a PE technician, and I was given the responsibility of the Year 11 football team. So it was the first round of a county cup final, and I took that team to the match. They lost. They weren't the best team. They didn't have a really good track record, but the way they played that day was kind of heartwarming for me, that I got the best out of those players. I got the best out of those young people, and they realised that they had a really good game, and I kind of contributed towards that. So that was heartwarming for myself. But over the past 2-3 years, I think for me, it's just seeing the effect of physical activity and sport on people and the benefits it brings. So being in the position I am, I can see it firsthand. So we do a lot of work across children and young people, and making sports and physical activity available for them, and seeing the enjoyment in their faces, seeing them being given the opportunity is, really rewarding. And, words can't describe the feeling it gives you, seeing that. So I think those are the moments that, I will kind of cherish and try and use to motivate me to do more.
And Muhsin, there is a question from one of the schools that we've got here. Nadia has asked, and I'm aware we've gone over by a minute, but that's fine. We'll answer this question. What was the driving force which kept you going and not giving up, achieving what you have achieved so far?
That's a very good question. Yeah, I think for me, it was just being positive. So I think I've had a few ups and downs where I was thinking, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, am I getting anywhere doing this? Is there any real reason behind it? But I just thought to myself, you just have to keep at it, right? If you really feel like, you can achieve something, there's nothing stopping you. So like I said, always remain positive. Try and take every opportunity that's presented to you. So, I had an opportunity to coach. I had an opportunity to get a coaching badge. So I'm a level 2 football coach. I coached for a local football team. I was doing community sessions, and I knew, the skills that developing through my coaching is gonna help later on in my career. And I think it has. I think I've been able to go to interviews and present myself really well, all through the coaching that I've done, all through the volunteering, the youth work that I've done. So always make use of those opportunities to better yourself and stay positive.
Don't get disappointed when you get knocked back either, because
exactly.
Again, that old saying, when one door closes, another one opens, and there's going to be so much opportunity for that to happen for each and every one of you there. So don't ever get discouraged. Just not so much. Just take it and get back out there and try again, and it'll happen for you.
Just to touch back on that, is like, for example, that interview. If I had gotten that job, I wouldn't have gone on to do my master's and to have joined Leap. But from that kind of failure, I wouldn't even call it a failure. Something good comes from something bad all the time. So I didn't get the job, but on the other side, I went back to university, done my master's, and I'm in a really good position with Leap now to kind of progress in my career. So never get disheartened.
Yeah, resilience is a really important thing that we try and reach because of the outreach sessions I do in schools. Knockbacks and rejections are not always about you, it's about them as well, and you don't fit the right opportunity, but it does mean that it pushes you further towards the correct opportunity. And a lot of times in life, when you get to my age and had the career that I've had, you will meet a lot of rejection, but it's about keeping going and believing in yourself. And I think it relates back to what Muhsin said about taking a team to a cup final but not winning. But as long as they did their best and they gave their everything that they could and performed at their best but didn't win, there's nothing more that you can ask, and there's nothing more that you can do as an individual. Give your best. If somebody rejects you for a position, then you go and look for the people that want you in their company or want you in that field and that area, and that's what's really important. It is 11:49. We have gone 4 minutes over, but that's fine. It's absolutely fine because I think we've had some great content. So yes, I just wanted to say, obviously, thank you very much to Muhsin and Mark from Leap for presenting today. Thank you for all of your questions. Sorry if we haven't been able to cover all of them. There is one question there about the impact of no club sports on COVID, and I think that could be a long time discussion. So I think we're going to have to leave that one there. Yeah, but thank you very much to all of those schools that joined. And I know Mark and Muhsin did ask earlier, and we had some replies. So Thomas Fremantle School was on, and they had about 22 students per class. The Mandeville School in Aylesbury had 27 students. And there was another one, Laura from Mandeville also said 17 students in her classroom as well. So a lot of questions coming from you guys. Thank you very much. And hopefully everybody else will enjoy the rest of the sessions.
Thanks again, everybody.